Hey guys, Over's25 here, and welcome back to another episode of Does It Work? Where today I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this thing right here. Now, this is something that I actually picked up about a month ago, but I just haven't really gotten around to reviewing it. But it is a credit card size, fits in wallet, micro USB charging cable. It really doesn't have any specifications on it, so as with most of my cable review videos, I'm going to be doing some testing. But I thought it was a really interesting thing when I was going through the Dollar Tree, and I was just like, I wonder how well this thing works. So this thing is credit card dimensions, but in terms of like length and height, but in terms of width or its thickness, it is not actually credit card sized. In fact, I have a little stack of credit cards over here that I'm going to pull in. It is actually about the thickness of about 4 credit cards. So it is not really the proper thickness of a credit card. And just for reference, here is a single credit card to compare it to. You can see that it is definitely not the same thickness. But it is, if I overlap these, you can see that these are the same dimensions. So it is the same dimensions in terms of the length and the height, but not the width. So other than that, basically, it just kind of like is made out of this really crappy plastic, but it kind of like folds out like that. It's got like this little hinged part. You pop out this center part, and then you pull the cable out. And then you're thinking, well, where's the micro USB? Well, it's right here. So you just pull that off, and there's your micro USB. Now, one thing I want to point out is that this thing is of very low quality. I mean, what do you want for $1, but still. And that the actual wiring is actually exposed on the micro USB part. So, yeah, and this whole thing just feels really flimsy and crappy. You can see that when they were producing this, they just had like some guy with like snippers clamping these things off and like clipping them together, and like the build quality on this is really shit. Like nothing fits together very well. But I mean, does it work? Let's find out. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my devices that I always use, and I'm gonna go ahead and test this cable real quick. Okay, so I have everything plugged in. I actually have to move the camera because this cable is so short. But we can see here, I have this hooked up to a 3 amp rated wall charger. So we can see at 1 amp of power, well actually a little under 1 amp, let me crank this up a little bit more. There we go. At 1 amp of power, we see that the voltage has dropped down to 4.57, it's somewhere around 5.7. Which to me is an indication that this is a 1 amp rated cable, because the lowest that you want to go on your voltage for cables for USB charging compliance factors is 4.4, and that's like absolutely as low as you can possibly go in terms of the specifications. So if I crank this anything above 1 amp, the voltage is probably just going to fall off a cliff. So this is a 1 amp rated cable and whatnot. So as per every other time that I do these reviews, I'm going to go ahead and pull out my document sheet here that I've been making, and I'm going to go ahead and fill out the documentation, and I'll give you a analysis of some of the specifications of this cable. So if you give me a minute, and I'll go ahead and fill out all this documentation. So before I show the documentation, I did forget to actually show this thing in a wallet. So here is my credit card holding part of my wallet, and I have pulled out the 3 credit cards that I usually hold in this pouch. This is about 4 credit cards in width, and you can see that it does fit in a wallet and a purse, but I still, and then you also risk having this crappy corner piece apparently get stuck in your damn wallet, which I can't get out for the life of me, so I'll get that out later. But yeah, I'm not too impressed with the build quality. But anyway, moving on to the documentation, I went ahead and got all this filled out here. So down here, second to the bottom, we can see that I have the Dollar Tree credit card USB cable, which I have a measured 56 centimeters of cable length usable, which has a rating of 1 amp estimated because they don't document it. It cost $1.09 after tax. The end of the cable voltage was around 4.41 volts. I took a measurement after the camera went off and everything just to make sure it was consistent at 1 amp. So its power factor at the end of the cable is 4.41 watts, which is a loss of 0.59 watts when compared to a perfect, zero loss factor, which is about 11.8% loss rate, which this is a new category that I'm adding for all my cable reviews, which is the power per centimeter, which this cable achieves 0.078 watts per centimeter of cable length. So you guys can always go ahead and pause it and look at this chart to see which cable you think is worth the money. But my current recommendation is still the Oraco 3 amp rated 155 centimeter cable, because for the price it gives you the best performance, and I think about 155 centimeters is a pretty nice lengthy cable that doesn't get too long but is not too short. So with that said, what do I think of this thing? Well, first off, I think that the craftsmanship on this thing is absolutely abysmal, even for dollar store, Dollar Tree, dollar store, whatever standards. It's pretty bad. I personally, I wouldn't recommend anyone buy this thing. Maybe if you're like a traveler or something and you just need like a charging cable in your wallet because you don't want to carry one in your bag or something like that, go ahead and get it, I guess. But personally, I think that there's much better cables for the money. I mean, for like 10 cents more or something, you can get an Oraco cable. You'd have to wait like 20 days to get it from China, but it is a far better cable, and it is also 3 times as long as this cable. So I just can't recommend this thing to anyone. It's crap craftsmanship. It's really inconvenient to wind this thing back up because you actually have to like line it up with these tiny little tracks inside this thing, and it's just a real pain to get it to stay in there and everything else. So I just don't recommend it. But I hope that this helps you guys. You saw this and you're like, oh, I wonder if that's a good product to get. I wouldn't recommend it. And on top of it, this stupid little trap door doesn't even close properly. It doesn't snap in, so it's always like coming out and whatnot. So I would just say stay away from it and get yourself something like an Oraco cable or some other brand name China produced cable, because they're going to be much better quality and give you much better performance. Anyway, I hope this helps someone. Orvis25 signing off. Peace, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for watching my video. If you like my content, please consider becoming a supporter on Patreon, and remember to subscribe to both my YouTube and my new DTube channel, where you can watch all of my content and tutorials on a non-YouTube platform. Also, remember to follow me on Twitter so that you can stay up to date whenever I go live or post new content. All links in the description. Have a good rest of your day.